What's going on, guys? How you doing? How's your week been going? Let me know what your training has been saying this week. I hope the gains have been with you. For me, this week has been PR week, which of course is the topic of this video. Basically, I've come to the end of my current training phase, and we don't do this too regularly, but this training phase did have me test a few new 1RMs, 1 rep maxes, to see what my new maxes are. And for that reason, I filmed this week at the different sessions to document that, and I thought I'd share it with you guys today in another sort of training vlog format. You guys seemed to like it last time, where I sort of combined training footage with game trailers, and we kind of just spoke about some sort of gaming stuff with training footage running in the background, which is exactly what we're doing today. So I've got squat, bench press or floor press and deadlift today all lined up, and I also want to talk about some games because there have been some trailers that dropped recently. We got a new trailer for Scarlet Nexus. We're of course only a week away from Monster Hunter Rise now, and there was also the trailer for the now titled Forspoken, previously Project Athia, so I thought we'd chat about all of those. So let's jump over and let's get training. We're kicking things off with squat today because of course SBD, squat, bench, deadlift, we got to start there. But while we're squatting in the background, while I'm doing my warm-ups, obviously these are just the reps that I'm kind of getting towards my max set, so to speak. I want to talk about Scarlet Nexus because this is a game that I'm really looking forward to. They dropped a new trailer. If you guys haven't seen this before, it is this sort of action, I guess to a degree, not really hack and slash, but those sort of like action-driven games, right? It's like cool combos, over-the-top like flashy moves, and it's got this really cool like Ghost in the Shell meets sort of like a Neo Tokyo vibe to it with all these different sort of anime characters. They did also announce there's going to be an anime, like a specific anime for this series, which is also going to be kind of awesome. But one of the cool things from this trailer is up until now, all the footage we've seen has shown us playing as this main character. I forgot his name, but it's always been sort of told through his perspective, and you've got like people you can team up with to power you up. But in this one, it seems like they're showing that you've actually got different characters you can play as, or like another protagonist, a female protagonist this time, which is really cool. So whether it's just one of those things where you just select, you know, male or female at the beginning, or whether it's actually like there are different characters you can switch to, does of course remain to be seen. But I do like what I'm seeing with this one, like just the gameplay for this. If you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking out the trailer because there's some really cool things where, you know, these sort of red cables that connect to the back of you, they can feed into your abilities. You've got like telekinesis powers, so you can throw things in the sky with your mind and just like combine things for these crazy aerial combos. It looks like a lot of fun. Anyway, just quickly talking about the training, obviously I got through the warm-up sets, and then we had the max set, which was 140 kilograms for squat, which is a PR for me. It's kind of more like a technique PR because I have hit 140 before, but it was kind of messy. I wasn't too happy with it. So the fact that that was a clean rep, I am super happy with. Afterwards try 150 because 140 felt pretty good. 150 didn't go too well. I did still, you know, get it up, but it was only, I mean, it was barely parallel. I don't know whether I would even accept that one, but the main thing is when I went down on the 150, I lost kind of core stability. You can see that I leant forwards. I did manage to kind of get back out and underneath it, but it wasn't like a clean rep, so I'm not taking the 150. I'm not accepting that. However, it is nice that I've felt 150 on my back now, so when it comes to kind of like you're progressing up even further, I've now felt a higher weight. So squats, done, PR in the books, maybe not like an actual number PR, but a technique PR, so I'm taking it. After that, of course, we're jumping over to floor press, which was actually on a different day. I wear red on PR days, by the way. Squat and deadlift were on the same day, but I've ordered these in terms of the traditional sense, squat, bench, dead. And while I'm warming up for this one, I of course want to touch on Monster Hunter Rise, because yo, this game launches on Friday. I'm so excited, honestly. Getting a chance to jump back in and just get a load of hunting going again. For me, I love Monster Hunter regardless, right? But the thing that I enjoy the most about Monster Hunter is kind of the beginning period, the most, right? When you don't know the monsters, you don't know the armor sets, everything is new, you're discovering everything about it is just fun, right? You know, you go and you fight a monster, you run back and you're like, what does the armor set look like? What do the weapons look like? You unlock new moves and you're like, whoa, this is cool, right? So I mean, like, obviously Monster Hunter is fun throughout its entire life cycle, but just that beginning part where everyone's discovering stuff, honestly, that is some of my favorite times in Monster Hunter. And I cannot wait to check out some of the new switch skills because they look fantastic. Being able to customize my hunting style is going to be nuts. All right, so to kind of recap now on the bench side of things, this one was a failed PR. So I've previously hit 100 kilograms, and I've previously hit 105 kilograms. So this week was supposed to be 110. I tried it twice. Now, I've learned something in the past. If ever I fail a bench rep, especially if it's a PR, there's no point even trying a second time because I'm never going to get it. The first one was kind of messy because on the D rack, I actually hit the rack, which kind of made me lose stability on the whole, when I was holding it, which from the start was already just a rip. I should have re-racked it and just centered myself, but instead I tried to push forward. You can see that thing didn't even move. It wasn't even close. It was just not happening. So I took a 5-minute break. I came back. I did decide to try again. But even the second one, I can see where I went wrong because when I went down on the descent, as I was pushing back up, my arms went backwards. So I suddenly, I'm losing a lot of my driving force because suddenly when it's, when your arms are backwards like that, it's all through the shoulders. You're not getting the kind of tension down there. So I know exactly where I went wrong with that one. And realistically, I should have been able to get it because that 100 kilogram rep beforehand was pretty smooth. So I feel like I should have got that one. But obviously, didn't work out. Either way, happens sometimes, it's fine. The most important thing is I'm not worried that I didn't get the number. I've, again, felt that weight. I know what it feels like now. So obviously it now gives me something to work towards on my next session. And then afterwards, of course, we're jumping over to deadlifts to wrap things up. So of course, my favorite exercise. And while we do that, I want to talk about Project Aethia, which now we know is called Forspoken. Honestly, it's a little bit early to kind of know everything about this game, but I will say just visually, this game just ticks the boxes for me. I love exploring. I love just kind of platforming. I love just running around. And in this gameplay specifically, we haven't seen too much of the kind of combat stuff, but we've seen a fair bit of traversal, just this character running around the world. And it almost looks like it's kind of got isekai vibes. I don't know if any of you guys watch isekai anime, things like Shield Hero, SAO, Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, that kind of stuff. But it kind of looks like it's got that vibe because you've got this character who looks like they belong in a normal modern world, and then suddenly she's back dashing through the world wearing high tops and stuff. It's kind of a really interesting sort of visual style, but I just like when you look at the movement, when you see how she's just sprinting through the world and just flying with all this sort of energy on her feet, I think it looks really cool. So, obviously it's too early to say right now. We haven't seen too much on it, but this is definitely one on my watch list. And there you have it, rounding out with my max deadlift. New PR, this one, 210, whereas obviously the squat was a technique PR. This is a legitimate PR. This is 200 kilograms was my highest before. I mentioned in previous videos I couldn't go above 200 because I couldn't get anything else in the bar. I finally got the steel plates. So to actually be able to get that one up, yeah, there's a couple of things to sort of, tweak and, fine tune with that rep. Ever so slight kind of upper back rounding. Generally speaking, that's fine when it comes to deadlifts because so long as your low back is straight and, your core is engaged, it's fine because as you start to get to heavier lows, there's a natural degree of upper back rounding. That is normally fine, but there's always things I can kind of tighten up. But honestly, that felt awesome. So there you have it. That's a wrap up. I do want to kind of round up this video just to kind of stress, if any of you guys are sort of getting into fitness and stuff, I don't do 1RM days that often. 1RMs are useful more so from a calculation point of view. It's, when you first start lifting, it's super exciting to lift heavier weights and things like that, but it's important to kind of focus more so on technique. Well, unless of course you're working towards a powerlifting goal and you want to kind of compete in competition. Generally speaking, technique and volume work is, infinitely more important, but there are select situations like in my current training phase where calculating later training volume is done based on a 1RM. Now that I know what my maxes are, I can then use those weights to calculate, say, 60% or 70% or 80% volume for next things. So 1RM sessions do have value periodically, but it's not something you typically want to be chasing too frequently because, for most people, when you're training just for kind of general health and just general strength, then a lot of the time you can be working more so in the sort of 80% range and just kind of working with volume stuff and focusing on technique. That is the most important thing. Technique, always, anytime I finish a session like this, anytime I finish a 1RM session, I look back at my footage, I work out where my technique is kind of going wrong, where things need to be improved. We then drop the weight back down and I then spend a lot of time focusing on technique, making sure I tighten things up. So the next time I hit that weight, it is even better than before. So definitely, especially with gyms opening up again soon, if you guys are getting back into it, you're getting back into strength training, always focus. Technique is king. Technique. That word, drill it into your mind. That is always number one thing when it comes to lifting. But anyway, that's it. That is this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. it's gonna get busy from now on because yo, Monster Hunter Rise is coming. I'm gonna be busy working on loads of videos for that one, whilst also making sure my training doesn't slip and the videos don't slip. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned on the socials, make sure you keep it locked on the channel, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys again next Sunday.